One of the most common questions that people ask in a personal injury case is, how much money do I actually get in a personal injury settlement? Hi, everyone. I'm Rose Harper, a personal injury attorney in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. One of the most common questions that people ask is, how much money am I actually going to take home in a personal injury settlement? And that's a fair question, because the amount of money that you settle your case for does not mean that that's the exact amount that you're going to be taking home and putting in your bank account. Today, I'm going to walk you through what can come out of a personal injury settlement, why every client's final amount or percentage that they actually take home can look different, and why it's important to understand the settlement breakdown before the money is dispersed. First, very important, is to understand that the amount that you settle your case for is not the exact amount that you're going to be taking home. So if you settle your case for $100,000, that doesn't mean that you receive the full $100,000. Just as an example, before the client receives their final check, several things need to be addressed. Out of the settlement amount will be paid attorney's fees, case expenses, including filing fees, mailings, expert reports, and other disbursements that needed to be made in order to pursue the full settlement amount. In addition, coming out of the settlement amount would be any medical bills or liens that are outstanding, health insurance liens, Medicaid or Medicare liens, provider balances, and other legal obligations connected to the case. Also, in certain states, they require that a child support lien is run or investigated. And so if you owe money on your taxes or to child support, that can potentially be taken out of your settlement amount as well. Also, every case is really different. Some cases settle pre-litigation without any formal expert reports. Other cases require extensive litigation and trial and multiple experts. So every case is different and they're not going to have the same types of deductions. But let's dive into attorney fees and case expenses that might come out of your settlements. Most personal injury cases are handled on a contingency fee basis, and that means that the attorney does not get paid unless money is recovered for the client. Now, that's a huge risk for the attorney to take on, because they could spend thousands of hours and multiple years before your case is getting settled. Also, the attorney could spend thousands of dollars litigating your case, like getting expert reports and things like that. And if ultimately a jury decides that they don't think you should get any money, the attorney loses all of that time and money that they put in to pursue your claim. They're not going to get anything back if they lose. That's a huge risk that they're taking on to fight for you. The attorney fee is usually a percentage of the recovery that they're able to get for you. And that should be clearly explained in the retainer agreement, because each state is different and the bar ethical rules will typically dictate the amount that can be charged in the contingency fee. Now let's talk about some case expenses, because there are costs associated with building the case, and it depends on your agreement with your attorney. Typically, the attorney will pay or help apply for funding for your case if that's required. But some types of costs associated with building the case might include medical record fees, like getting your medicals from the hospital, filing fees with the court system, investigator costs if they need to track down former employees or the defendant, court costs, expert fees, other case-related expenses. A really important aspect of money that might come out of your settlement is medical provider balances and liens that need to get paid. Sometimes after an accident, a client receives medical treatment that has not been fully paid by the insurance. In that case, there might be money owed to hospitals, doctors, imaging centers, pain management providers, surgical centers, chiropractors, physical therapy, anesthesiologists, and the list goes on and on. If those providers treated you because of the accident and there's a balance connected with the case, then those need to be addressed with the settlement amount. Typically, what we do is we will help to negotiate down your medical liens to ensure that you get the most money possible from the overall settlement. Fourth, we should discuss health insurance and Medicare and Medicaid liens. Sometimes what happens is if a provider doesn't realize that you have auto insurance coverage, or they didn't know that it was related to the accident, or they didn't know you had an attorney that would provide a letter of protection for them, then they'll go ahead and bill Medicaid, Medicare, or your health insurance. And in that case, you the government is going to say, we want our money back. This wasn't a degenerative condition. This was something related to an accident. You're getting paid back that money, so you need to pay us back for the medical treatment that we paid for. And on top of that, unfortunately, health insurance really does not negotiate down the liens much, and Medicaid and Medicare take forever to get a final lien out to us. The only way we can really knock down those medical bills is I usually get a ledger from my client, and I will try to dispute any of the charges if they're not actually related to medical treatment for the accident. It takes a lot of times. I mean, sometimes Medicaid can even take up to 6 months to get us that final ledger after a settlement agreement is reached. So it's really tough. It's hard on the clients because they have to wait, but ultimately the government requires that. At the end of the day, it's really important that we resolve medical liens and billing statements at the time of settlement, because you don't want it coming back to be a problem for you years later. Something went to collection. That's never the goal. A really important aspect of everything is we try our best to identify every single possible lien that is associated with the case and negotiate them down as much as possible. The next important thing to discuss is sometimes there can be a really big delay from the time we settle the case until you receive your final settlement check. And so people will ask, like, why does my settlement check take so long to be received? We came to an agreement months ago. Like I already discussed, it definitely takes time and it's a process to negotiate down those medical liens. Ultimately, the goal is to get you more money in your pocket. On top of that, if the government is taking a long time to get us the final amount, that can delay things. But the answer is ultimately the legal and financial obligations have to be confirmed first. The settlement check is typically deposited into an attorney trust account that is associated with your case, and the funds remain in there. Liens are paid off, the attorney disbursements get paid back, the attorney fee, and your check. At the end of your case, when you receive your check, you should receive an itemized statement about every single penny in that settlement amount and where it went to and why. That way you feel confident that everything was handled appropriately. This process ultimately is for the client's protection. I understand that it feels really frustrating to wait, a settlement amount, and you're ready for everything to be finalized and move forward with your life. That it's better to handle everything at the same time, making sure that there's no loose ends. So the final takeaway is that your settlement amount is not always the amount that you take home. No two cases are the same, and so people's final case settlement ledger can look very differently depending on what was needed in order to litigate their case, their medical liens, and things like that. But a good personal injury attorney like myself should help you to understand the breakdown and protect you from future lien issues and negotiate down the medical balances as much as possible. If you were injured in an accident and have questions about settlements, liens, medical bills, or what you're entitled to receive, you can feel free to reach out to Rose Harper Law at 201-377-2337 or go to roseharperlaw.com. We handle cases in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. That you're safe and that you don't actually need us, but if you do, we're here for you. This video is for educational purposes only. I'm not your attorney unless we have a signed retainer agreement.